We don't have anything on the screen. A video of you. They can see you.
I should have left my hat on, huh? Okay, it's 1:30 and I want to make sure I'm respecting your time, and I really do appreciate you kind of coming back to as a group. We don't have a lot of people in attendance yet, but we are going to record this meeting because there are some important updates that I think you'll want to know about. The first thing we're going to talk about a little bit, Amy Mueling was going to be here, but I don't see her logged in yet. So if she happens to come on, I might let her give an update. But for right now, Jenny Carter from our office is going to give an update on Advisor. Jeannie, do you want to turn the camera on to Jennifer? Here we go. There she is.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. As you know, this is the parallel year for the NSSRS and the Advisor, where NSSRS will end June 30th of this year. So starting next fall, it will be Advisor. During this parallel time, you will report both the NSSRS data files and your Advisor. So during this time, if you have questions on either one of them, they will go to separate help desks. So anything on NSSRS, you will submit your ticket to the NDE help desk like you have always. And anything for the Advisor, we have a Nebraska Cloud Advisor Help at Nebraska Cloud. Will be it's another separate ticket system for people that have expertise in the Advisor, the EdFi connections, and moving forward to the dashboard. So depending on your question, submit it to the correct help desk, and those people will get back to you on those. There are 4 levels of support at moving into Advisor. Level 1 is your district data stewards, because you will be working with your staff, your teachers that will eventually view the dashboard. Level 2 is our ESU virtual support team. Those are the ones that know the SIS vendors and can assist with the EdFi connection to your SIS. Level 2 would be ESU and your SIS vendor, so you want to work closely with your student information vendor. Level 3 is NDE, and then level 4 would be our EdFi vendor. So it goes up the chain depending on the type of the question. So just remember, this year, NSSRS is your data of record, and the Advisor is a parallel to test that everything goes through correctly. There's 2 validation sites, one for NSSRS and one for Advisor. So you'll want to be looking at both of those validation sites to compare the data to see if it's coming across. Sign up to attend any work days. We'll have NSSRS work days May, June, and there would be EdFi work days March, April, May. So if you see those work days, grab your team and come on over, and we'll visit with you and help you with any of your questions.
Thanks, Jenny. Did you have anything else that you need to add?
No, I think that's all. If you have any questions, you can send the ticket to the appropriate help desk. Thanks.
And we'll take some time at the end of this meeting to see if there's any outstanding items and if there are any questions. So do you want to switch it over, Jeannie, to me?
Sorry.
We do have people doing Advisor work days, so our team is kind of split right now. We will have a follow-up on NSSRS in the fall, like we do normally. You know, follow-up for 17-18. There'll be follow-up 1 and follow-up 2. And also, Ginny, isn't there like the SPED Exeters and the career ed?
The same things you had in the follow-up this year will be in the follow-up next year.
So NSSRS,
So it's year specific.
NSSRS for 18-19 will not exist, but the follow-up data that we've always collected will still be recorded in the fall of 2018. So it isn't quite done June 30th, but the school year part is done, and then we go into the follow-up, you know, in summer school and things like that. So, does anybody have any questions that might be unmuted? Okay, I know we meet every week with an internal advisor team, but our help desk is still primarily NSSRS, so we can't answer a lot of the questions for you yet, and we really prefer them going to the advisor help desk group, the Nebraska Cloud, Advisor Help at Nebraska Cloud, because they really know that stuff better than we do. So, and we just need to stay focused because we'll be a little short-staffed at the year end, but we'll be fine and we'll still be there to answer your questions. So, but the year end for the parallel year is going to be critical because we may not have had very many reports for you to review and look in terms of the parallel year prior to the year end. And our team here is really doubling down on their efforts to get all the advisor validation reports done for the year end. So we've got a lot of staff that are pretty much dedicated to those reports right now. So hopefully they'll continue to roll out. So if you didn't see a report today, you might see it tomorrow or the next day because we're rolling them out as soon as we can get them done and tested. So that's our advisor update. We do have two proposed new data fields. The first one is kind of that FERPA block or that FERPA where you might have on a student where the parents have asked that no information be reported on their student. Because you still report to us, data will be coming to us, but it's been requested that we collect that block status. So if we have to release data for whatever reason, like for research purposes or whatever, we can respect that, that request and make sure that that data is excluded. Jill has not told me yet where these are located in Advisor, so I can't tell you quite where they are yet. And they are still proposed data elements. And I put in there what the Common Education Data Standard, which is a national taxonomy for data elements, what they put down as a definition and what the code set was. Jill didn't know yet whether we need, right now the code set was block and remove block, but if we're going to request this for everyone, we may also need a no block, or maybe it'll just be null. I don't know yet, but we're still working on that. And this is just our initial. If you have any input or questions or concerns about that, if you don't feel like you want to say them out loud today, please send me an email. It's pam.taggart@nebraska.gov, and I will research that for you and get back to you on it. The other item that we're thinking we need to look at is expected high school of graduation. And how this came about is that people were concerned about students that are contracted out for maybe the 18 to 21-year-old program. And so they may be going to graduate back at their district of residence, and they're just going to the 18 to 21-year-old program because their district doesn't offer one. So that's a possibility for contracted in students. Also, it might be useful to have, if students have concurrent enrollment, like they're enrolled in 2 high schools in the bigger districts, that could be a problem. I think Lincoln utilizes that a lot, and we did find out through a question Lincoln had that FTE is now part of the enrollment part of a student's record in Advisor, whereas in NSSRS, it's part of the student template. So that'll be helpful, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get that information. Hopefully it'll be better for people. I do see a few questions. Maybe I should address those.
So the first one says, I am curious if other districts are currently collecting this information now. I believe they're talking about the
my understanding on other districts is that they should be allowing parents to request them. Some people might call it opt out, so they're not like in the maybe in the yearbook. Maybe they might have other reasons they don't want their students' information out there. My understanding, it should be available in all the SIS vendors. It's called like a FERPA block, maybe in some cases, or opt out or something like that. So then there's another question. Okay, it says, I would rather not have to enter a value on every student in the district. We just always mark the ones that have specified that they do not want the directory information released. So again, we'll find out from Jill on that what the preference is. And remove block, I guess that means that we got a block notification and then someone removed the block, because I'm guessing that we'll have to flag like who removed the block. Was it removed by the district, or was it removed by us? I don't know. That was part of the Common Education Data Standards. We don't necessarily have to take their request or their standard definition. We usually use their standard definition, but not their code set. We just have to be able to crosswalk our code sets to theirs. So I also see, related to the FERPA block, it says we have multiple choices for parents. So things like photos, class pictures, and then we have full directory release, and then also post-secondary, et cetera. So need rules exactly what we need to block, I guess, here. So again, thank you for your input on that. We'll look into that. I hadn't thought about some of those things. The initial data element that was proposed to me was more about releasing data of any kind, pretty much. It wasn't specific about things like class pictures or things like that. So I will find out. Thank you very much. Yeah. So we did get a note that they do enter blocks or opt outs. So one of the districts replied. So again, on I'm kind of a little curious about how you guys feel about expected high school of graduation, because that one has been a little bit, it's one of those things. Sometimes a contracted out student will be in a district from the time they're kindergarten through grade 12, but other times they only are there kind of in the grade 12 plus scenario, where there might be 18 to 21, and so they're just contracted in for that particular program. We don't know yet. There's some discussion about possibly using that to maybe move them from the cohort of that 18 to 21-year-old program back to their district of residence, if that's where they plan to graduate. So we're just exploring that. If you can think of other scenarios that might be helpful for, that might be nice to know too. We did find out that they want that for migrant students, but our problem is that they might be graduating from a high school that is not in our state. So we'll have to figure that out a little bit. So
Anna asked, would interlocal agreements have to play into that somehow?
Oh, that's I think it's part of the other question.
She just typed it.
Oh, I don't know yet about interlocal agreements. I do know Bryce and Jen Unimark are listening in today, so I'll ask them about it. I don't know a lot about interlocal agreements, so our problem is that when we flag a student as, or you guys, I guess, flag a student as contracted out, it's an indicator that money is being exchanged between the two districts, and that has an effect on state aid. So if interlocal agreements might be an issue, if you could tell me like a little bit more about that, that might be helpful. Again, I'm not sure yet how it's going to be used. What we think is a possibility is that those students, if they are just coming to a school district for the 18 to 21-year-old program and they plan to graduate back at their district of residence, we thought it only made sense for us to be able to move that student from the school district that they're, you know, it used to be that wherever they were reported is the cohort they were in, that school. But if we could, if they're not going to graduate from that school, it makes sense to move them back to the school that they're going to graduate from. But that'll still be, you know, probably still under discussion. We just thought we'd explore that when we had some, we had a need for the migrant students. And also in NSSRS right now, we have a little issue with concurrent enrollment, but the FTE moving to the enrollment field might be helpful on that, unless a student is 50-50. So then we might need a high school of graduation. I did check with some of our federal partners to get some ideas from them if other states are doing this kind of thing, because it isn't explicitly spelled out in our non-regulatory guidance related to cohort. So if we do if we do allow the students to be moved from the cohort in the school district they're attending to the cohort of the school that they're going to graduate from in that graduation year, in their cohort year, we might need to get approval for that. So there's still some discussion to go on about that, but people felt like there are lots of different options that happen with those students that are contracted out. And I don't know if there's other scenarios that might also play into this. So like I said, if you can think of any other scenarios where a student might need to move their cohort for whatever reason, or might not be graduating from the high school that they're attending. So just some things to think about. Again, please email me about any of your questions or concerns, because I learn from you guys from what, you know, every day, how you handle these kinds of things. You know, we think some of our ideas are easy and maybe they're not so easy to implement. So we do take your input very seriously, and we really, you are a big part of the decisions that are made based on your input. So thank you for that. I did have another item. Does anybody have any questions about those two? I do appreciate it if you guys would want to email me about them or give me a call so that I can make sure that we are getting enough information to know about this. I do see another question. It says, I might not be understanding this, but wouldn't you transfer the kiddos back to their home high school and then graduate them? I mean, that's a possibility. The problem is that do those high schools know that you're transferring them out? And then would they have enough information to report a graduation on them? You know, it's something that we felt needed to have some clarification, because just because they're transferred or they're contracted into your district doesn't mean that you can move them back out unless they are going to graduate from their resident high school. They may be graduating from your high school. So it's something that we felt needed to be clarified, and especially, like I said, for that group of 18 to 21-year-olds, because from what we understand, there are only maybe 20-some programs across the state, but, and so students are transferred into them. And I know there have been complaints over time that those districts that offer those 18 to 21-year-old programs are then being affected in terms of cohort because the students are part of their cohort then. So this kind of is trying to look at this issue, see what we might be able to do to help, see if we can get approval from the feds on making this type of change, if appropriate. It is, again, under discussion. We have talked a little bit to the special education office. They have some other pending changes related to ESSA, but they thought this one was a good one for them and their students. So again, we're just trying to maybe look at different ways of possibly helping districts that have programs that are drawing students to them, and we don't want to penalize them for operating those programs. But we also want to make sure that the students have the opportunity to graduate if appropriate, or that they are able to get enough credits to graduate. So it's still a discussion item, but and I will tell you that I didn't find anything in the Common Education Data Standards, and that's why I went to some of our federal partners about it. So the definition and the code set are still pending if we end up going down that route. But I'd just like to hear whether you think it's a good idea or not a good idea, and please email me or give me a call, because we're just kind of doing some exploration of this idea. You know, a lot of districts that provide special education services, when, you know, like their students are contracted out to them because they have a really good program, we felt like they should not, if the student was not going to graduate from their district, that we thought they should have options to be able to move them if appropriate. And, you know, maybe some of you have been doing it by transferring them out. But then we want to make sure that that district of residence then transfers them in and allows them to graduate if appropriate. So we're just not sure what kind of communication is going on between the districts involved, and hopefully there's good communication, but we're not sure. And we want to make sure that students have the opportunity to graduate if they can. Anyway, my next item is related to the cohort 2, and you guys did get an email about this in October and also in the bulletin. Well, actually, your administrators got it in an email from Dean Folkers, and then we also put it in the bulletin. The 2018 cohort will only have students that have earned a regular diploma, the 210, in the numerator. The 211s, which used to be kind of our 204s, but also it's kind of 204, 211 and 212 are kind of like our 204s were. They will not be in the numerator. So currently, the numerator includes the 210 and the 211, but not the 212. But in 2018, it'll only include the 210, which is the regular diploma. And I know the special education office is working really hard to clarify the difference between the 210 and the 211, because the students that meet their IEP may not earn a regular diploma. They may earn a 211 because they may not have met the same requirements as a regular student. And I can't speak to a lot of that particular, you know, the details related to that, but I know the special education office is working with the special education directors in clarifying that to make sure that there is understanding and that the codes are used correctly. I have reached out to the AQuest folks to tell them, you know, there could be a change and a difference. What we saw from using the data in the 2017 cohort, there wasn't a big change. But if special ed is out there trying to clarify that, because it is my understanding that 211, they felt was not utilized appropriately, that they are going out there. And so I did inform the AQuest group that there could be a difference that could be more significant than what we kind of looked at in the 2017 cohort. So I want to make sure that you know that people know here that this change could affect things. We don't, I have not been involved in AQuest, but I did reach out to them and inform them that we are changing this, and this puts us in compliance with the U.S. Department of Education non-regulatory guidance. In the past, our inclusion of the 211s did not. We were out of compliance. So this is to put us in compliance, but also our compliance is also very important in terms of who gets the 210 versus who gets the 211. So hopefully your special ed directors can help you sort that out. If the student is special ed, and if you have any questions on that, if you need to, you can send them to the help desk, but we'll probably be sending them to our special ed people to clarify that. And also, most districts have a regional rep, is my understanding, and they might be able to answer your question too. But if all else fails, send it to the help desk and we'll get it to the right people, right?
There it is.
Okay, so that's the change. And like I said, districts were notified in October, and the bulletin was in October too, so. Okay, now our big news, and something we're really excited about, is the conference that was AQuest conference last year. It's April 16th and 17th in Kearney. Will be a data conference this year. And so we're really excited about that, and we think it'll be really helpful. We found that we've had quite a turnover in data stewards, and maybe the people that left weren't there long enough to train them. And so there's a lot of gaps in understanding. We also want to spend time with the administrators and make sure they understand their responsibilities as district admins, and not be pushing it off onto their data stewards. We really want to push teams looking at the data and not just the people who are submitting the data. And so we're really excited about that. It'll kind of go back to the way it was when it was a data conference. We actually went back to the agenda that we had, clear back, was it 2 or 3 years ago?
2009, I think.
And are looking at the sessions to make sure that we will get that information or those sessions out there. Our goal is to get them out earlier based on the input that we got from our results of the evaluations. So we are using that information, and so we're trying to get those out as soon as possible. We have already been asked to submit preliminary items, and so we can see how many sessions we think we need. And as you can imagine, the SIS vendors will probably be more a part of the conference instead of being outside of the conference, because with Advisor, they're really more partners. As Jenny mentioned, they're part of our virtual support team. And so I think it'll be different. We still may offer the vendors to have a session, maybe like maybe the last session of the day or something on that first day, if they want to meet with their school districts for whatever meeting they might have. But we'll have advisor sessions, we'll have general sessions, kind of like on the cohort, on dropouts, on I think we're going to have one general session on kind of the overall view of NSSRS to Advisor. In fact, that's probably going to be the conference logo, NSSRS, or yeah, NSSRS to Advisor.
So the conference is still going to be called an AQuest conference, They're not changing the name of it, but it is all gonna be NSSRS to advisor related.
Okay. So we're really excited about that. We just got the notification this week that it was approved. We asked for it. We worked with the AQuest team, and they didn't really feel like they had enough presentations for a whole conference. And we told them, well, we do. We have a lot that we want to talk about. And it's kind of some stuff that people have been around for a while. It'll be repeats of stuff they've heard maybe a few years ago. But we know we have a lot of new staff. And by having a few AQuest things thrown in, we're hoping to draw some administrators too, that we might be able to also kind of bend their ear on a few things to try to help you guys at the data steward level to get the help you need, because I know I worked the help desk this fall, and that was painful for me because there were so many people that you just wanted to go help them. You know, different things come up, and they just, you know, it just, sometimes they just feel alone in their work, and it's hard. So we're really hoping to support you in this data conference and find out ways to help you guys. So we're really excited about that. So put it on your calendar, the 16th and 17th of April, and in Kearney. So hopefully you can come. But again, I do want to also, though, mention, come to the work days if you can. Jenny mentioned them. They're going to have advisor work days, and we'll have some NSSRS year-end work days. Even if you're not there to learn anything new, maybe just hearing from, you know, working, helping other people, maybe just taking time away from your work day to be able to work on NSSRS. If you have some specific issues, questions, concerns, errors that you can't seem to resolve, we're there to help. So
and you don't have to go to your ESU. If there's another ESU we want to drive to that is offering it on a day better for you, you can go to a different ESU.
Is the date set for the NDE day for advisor? Oh, do you have?
Oh, a work day? If
Are
it's
you
a work
talking
day.
days?
If it's a,
You need to, they're being scheduled now, but contact your ESU. All the registration is through the ESU.
okay. And if you have any questions.
Yes, I have one.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Lincoln.
Lincoln.
Lincoln, we'll have to check and see if we have a specific advisor work day at the ESU at Lincoln.
I'll ask Amy or Max and see if that's something we can do for you.
Yeah. I guess you guys, Lincoln is close enough, you're always welcome to come here. Although they're gonna lock us down here pretty soon, you have to have a badge to get in.
So
I
the
guess,
advisor questions will not be answered by the help desk team. Pam, Denise, and I, they will be answered by the advisor team that know your SIS. So I'll talk to Amy and see what we can do for you, Becky.
okay. I did add a couple more items, and where are we at in terms of time? Okay, we're still good for time. I did propose a date change for membership from the last Friday in September to October 1. I know we tried to do that before. I hope we're successful this time. Another thing that I noticed about the fall and the fall collection and being on the help desk, as well as the struggles the data stewards were having, is having that difference between our membership and like the October sped snapshot was difficult. And some of our new people really struggled with that. So I did propose, and we did put it in our technical amendment bill, to change our membership date from the last Friday in September to October 1. Of course, we won't know that until the legislature's in session. Our technical amendment bill, most of the things on it do not cost the state anything, so we're hopeful that it will pass, but we'll keep you informed. But that's, we're hoping to get kind of all of our counting day to be October 1. And that will also put us into alignment with the feds. They don't really prescribe the date, except for the special education office, but the other things like membership, they don't prescribe a date. But I just felt, especially with advisor, trying to keep things in sync are really going to be difficult. And it would be better for everyone, I think, if we had one county date. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hopeful that that will work. You know, around here, people are saying, well, why didn't you do that when you started NSSRS? Well, I think it was one of those things that we were in the thick of it at the time, and we weren't able to get that accomplished in time to make it work for NSSRS. But I think now's the time, so I'm really excited. I hope that we can get that implemented. We also are hearing you guys. We got some compliments, concerns about the bulletin and the length and the format and the redundancy of it. We are working with our NDE communications team to redo that, the format and the delivery. So we're really excited about that. We kind of went into this meeting thinking, well, we'll get some ideas, but they already had so many ideas for implementation that we were really excited when we left and are hopeful that we'll be able to implement that. I don't know if we'll be able to implement it as early as the fall, but we're hopeful that we might get some of it implemented by the fall. But for now, you'll just have to bear with us, at least hopefully through year end, to on our old format. But we are hearing you, and we do appreciate it when people take the time to help us make things better for you, and hopefully it will be for us, because we think the communications team will be taking it over, and it will be automated. So it'll be automated from our part in terms of submitting the agenda items for the bulletin, and you know, we'll have a better way of delivering it, so to be more accurate and not so maybe redundant and duplicative or whatever. So we're really excited about that. So we've got our communications team has really expanded here, and they've been very helpful in trying to help us do things more efficiently. So we're really excited about that. So for right now, that's all that I have. I'm going to open it up. I just wanted to let you know we have Jeannie Nichols here. She's our administrative assistant in the data research and evaluation team, and she kind of helps me with the communication and the Zoom meeting. And then we have Denise Schuyler and Jenny Carter here from the help desk. And Denise and I and Philip are going to hold down the fort on the NSSRS help desk for the year end. Jenny will kind of come and go. She'll have some work days for advisor, and then she'll have work days for NSSRS. And she's kind of our bridge right now, trying to figure out, you know, what our work will be like in advisor. And, you know, so it's been challenging, and we may not have all the answers to your questions, but even having the question is helpful sometimes, because then we can think through, well, how can we do that in advisor? Or like with Becky's question about FTE on enrollment. Well, now I have some really, I want to look at some of our reports and some things like that that might change, or even our cohort might change in how the data is extracted. So knowing those things ahead of time is really helpful. I will, whatever input I get, Jeannie has saved the chat, and then also we're recording this conference, and also any emails that I get regarding the 2 new data elements, I will bring that to our NSSRS advisor team, and you know, what they think about it, and also get a little more input on what the uses are going to be for it. So that might be in a future, it'll either be in a future district data collection group meeting, or I might just shoot out an email when I find out more information. So that's really all that I have today. I'm going to open it up to see if you guys have any topics that you'd like to discuss, or if you have any questions for us today. Don't see any coming up. I do really appreciate you guys taking time today, and I'm sorry we kind of rushed this one, but we still had it on the calendar. We hadn't canceled it yet, so when these 2 new data elements came up and some of the other things came up, I thought, well, let's go ahead and have one. And so I appreciate your time. Well, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and, oh, wait, curious as to how often you gather the email list for notifying various staff on NSSRS errors that need follow-up. Well, most of the people that we contact have their portal account is where the email addresses come from for the most part. Go ahead and say it loud enough.
It would be like NSSRS validation students, data stewards, so email addresses from those portal accounts.
Also, you say
data managers.
Yeah, you say up there that the directors received emails for wrong areas. You might want to look at what their, look at, or have your administrator look at what they're assigned to, because maybe they were in like the student data manager or something like that, instead of being with a particular program area. And that may be why they got the emails they got. Because when we notify school districts, we take the list of the, especially related to student data, we take the student data contacts, the student, student data steward contacts. So if they weren't associated with the program in particular, we probably sent it to all the student data stewards. So that might be the problem. We're hoping, we do have a proposal to update some things related to roles. We don't know yet how that's going to play out, but we've had some questions and concerns about roles. So we are looking into how we might be able to better target things for particular roles. So if there's some roles that you guys have that you think would be helpful, when we created NSSRS, we didn't allow for a lot of roles. So if we need more roles, let us know, because maybe, for example, one of the questions was, the career ed person got emails regarding preschool errors. Well, maybe we need to be able to target those more programmatically. So I'm glad Jeannie is saving the chat on this so that we can follow up on some of those. Let's see here, there's another one. Not sure if you will keep this same process with advisor, but we have many directors get the email and then I get the same email sent to me by each of them. Oh yeah, and I wish there was a better way, yeah, for the data stewards. Yep, I know that has been a concern. Again, we're hoping to be able to, we have heard you guys, believe me, and we're trying to figure out a way. I think with advisor, we're going to be looking for a point of contact related to student data and probably staff data. So that's still under discussion, but we have heard you guys and know that it just causes you more work to get, your email plus 10 others if you have 10 other people that got it. So, and two, we don't like going around you guys if it's not appropriate. Some things do need to go to your administrator, and they may contact you, and we may not have a choice on that type of thing, but we just want to try to make sure that we'll figure out a better way of communicating related to them. And two, the other thing is we try to help. Some people don't even are not on top of their errors, and we don't know which ones are and which ones aren't. And so it's kind of hard sometimes when we do follow up in following up on errors, because some people I'll call and they'll go, I'm working on it. And then other people will call and say, yeah, I got 10 different emails from 5 people telling me to work on this, and I've been working on it, and it's really hard. It really puts us in the middle too. So we're going to try and find a better way of doing that. And just remember, as long as you guys are handling the errors, we shouldn't have to do as much follow-up. But I am concerned about this first year as an advisor having a ton of errors. And we expect that. And so, until the data, the SISs get cleaned up and maybe processes are changed within the districts on how data gets into the SIS and that kind of thing. So we expect there'll be a lot of change, but we do want to try to figure out a way that we can communicate with you more effectively. And our bulletin was our first thing we went after, but we are working on the data steward and contacts on the advisor side. We probably won't change too much on NSSRS just because it's kind of old now, but we're working on, and also I want another email there. We are working with our program, Jenny's going to be working with our program people here in the department, and we're going to really work with them to be contacting you guys or someone during the audit window and not after the audit window. We found that we had programs that were waiting to the end of the audit window, which should have been done. And we got really frustrated with them because then we had all these requests to submit data late, which is another whole process for us. So we're going to work with them to try to get them on board here to follow up on their stuff sooner. Now, their complaint back to us so far has been, well, but the data isn't all in. But it should be. It should be in on the due date. The data should just be audited in that audit window. So we're going to have to work with school districts more vigorously in getting their data in on time, which means by the due date. And then you guys and us can work on that. So during the audit window, but we are working with our program people. So anyway, but I do appreciate your ideas, and we'll definitely look into them. And we are meeting on a weekly basis, more for advisor at this time, but some of them closer to the year end will probably get more advisor NSSRS. So. We do appreciate your input. And as advisor matures, we'll have, hopefully, if the data contacts that they're building get more mature, then we'll be able to use some of them to finish up at NSSRS. So any other topics? But those are good ones. I didn't even think about talking about the contacts, but we are working on that. And having it in this list will be good so I can bring it forward. So any other issues and concerns? If you think of any after this meeting, give me a call or just send me an email. Again, Jeannie did save this chat, and also we recorded the conference. So we will have this for the people who weren't able to attend, and hopefully we'll what? Yeah. Oh, at Nebraska.gov. Yeah. And it's 402 471, 4735. Yep. So, if you have any other questions or concerns, or if you have any ideas for topics, I'd like to start meeting again more regularly, maybe not every month, but maybe every other month. I know that we might have had some people drop out of the group because they were frustrated that we weren't having meetings, but I hate to have a meeting to just have a meeting, and I didn't feel like I had enough to have a meeting. But when these things all kind of gelled quickly in the last couple of weeks, I really thought it was time to have a meeting. Of course, our technology is a little better and more reliable than it has been in the past, so we can share this out with our group. So thank you for your participation. Thank you for your ideas. And we are looking forward to the year end, and also looking forward to advisor. The more that I learn, the more I think it's going to be a rocky start, but it will be good because it'll be less work, hopefully, for you guys, and that maybe the SISs will get cleaned up to the point they'll even be really useful to you guys for more of your data needs, hopefully. And I think that's all good. So we're hoping that it'll allow more efficiency and less work. So many people struggle with those upload downloads. So hopefully this will help with that. So thank you so much. And you guys have a happy holidays. We had our holiday gathering today at the department, and so we're all ready for the holidays. And but we'll still be here. I think all of us are going to be here for another week or so. And the help desk will be covered through all the holidays. So if anything comes up and you're working on something like cohort or whatever, we'll be here to work on it with you. So thank you so much, and have a great holiday. Be safe and stay warm. Thank you.